All right, so welcome to another one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, which means to the body. So let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. So today is Friday, right? It's the 25th of April. We are several hours away from the weigh-in, though I do believe there have been several weigh-ins, right? Just to make sure that everything's on point, that both fighters, or I guess all fighters, are, taking their part to make the fight or to make their fights. And so in this video, I want to do an early prediction, though I've already called it on some other live streams. Uh, and I'll go into detail as to why I believe for this early prediction. And what I mean by early prediction is because we still got to see how they look on the scale, right? But for right now, I'm picking Eubank by stoppage in the ninth round. All right. Now here's the thing. I really recommend you guys go and check out Benn versus Dobson or Hobson. Yeah, Dobson. Um, of course, for those that know, Eubank. I'm sorry, Benn couldn't fight in the UK due to the violation of the doping scandal, whatever it was, whatever. And so he had to fight twice in the States. He fought a Mexican cat named Orozco, and then this other cat Dobson, and these were at the 154-pound limit, right, super welterweight. And they were some pretty good fights. We got to see how Benn was, doing at 154. It's debatable about, given the circumstances as to why Ben had to fight in the States. Take that in consideration, all right, in the performances with Orozco and Dobson, okay? I like the Dobson fight a lot, and I also like the Orozco fight a lot. And I might as well say I did like Eubank's a fight against Sedemeta, right? Camille Sedemeta, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The same Sedemeta that who folded, his cards against Gennady Golovkin. Though I believe it was stopped, if I recall. Um, but anyways, taking consideration these fights, okay? I will say that Eubank Jr. is perhaps maybe a bit taller, maybe the same size as Orozco. Um, Definitely a way different physique than Orozco. My opinion has way more pop than both Orozco and Dobson. So please take those things in consideration. Now, originally, these past months, I was a bit confused because I didn't know if it was going to be a catch weight or if it was at the full 160 limit. Okay. It just recently was disclosed. Well, recently, meaning when I did some more research, a lot of websites in the last day or so, last hours, they've said that it's at the 160 limit. So that's good. That means that we're gonna see the same Eubank, aside from the rehydration clause, but pretty much the same Eubank that we've seen in his last what 5 or 6 fights. Okay, ever since when he fought Korobov, right? So it's been at 160, and so I'm not too worried about the rehydration clause. I'm looking more about the styles. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. I like Benn. I like Connor Benn is good for the sport. Very explosive fighter. Very very good explosive combination fighter. I like his technique. Really good fundamentals. But realistically, guys, the amount of power that Connor puts in his shots, if you do a lot of that and you do it early, guaranteed you're gonna tire out, man. So Ben's got to calibrate himself to go for the full 12 rounds, realistically. So don't expect a lot of the stuff that you see in the gym, that explosiveness. Perhaps at best what you saw in the Orozco and Dobson fights, okay? Because remember, now that at 154, assume that Eubank's got a way better chin than Dobson and Orozco. Because remember, Liam Smith, man, he's a very gritty fighter. I like Liam Smith. I've always been a fan of the Smith brothers. Cadam Smith, Liam Smith, and I believe it was Paul Smith, right? The guy that fought Andre Ward. And I recall back then that was even a catchweight, man. But whatever, the Smith brothers are legit. I've always liked them. Liam Smith, very heavy-handed fighter in both hands. Believe it or not, man. And nowadays, he looks bigger than ever. The Liam Smith that fought Eubank, that was a big Liam Smith. Okay? definitely cutting a lot of weight to at least 15 pounds easily. Liam Smith fighting at 154. And so, anyways, in that fight that he stopped Eubank, Eubank had a bad instinctive game plan in being bullied at the ropes or at the corner in particular, because I wouldn't say in the ropes in general, because in the corner, at that 90-degree angle, it's hard to flee left and right. And I think Eubank just didn't know how to evade that onslaught for Liam Smith. And again, Liam Smith, in my opinion, probably cracks just as hard as Nigel Benn, Connor Benn, or perhaps even stronger, because again, Liam Smith is a legit 154 pounder and above, easily, right? And again, that fight was at 160, if I recall, right? That was a Liam Smith at 160. So, um, take into consideration that Connor Benn, I'm getting all these names confused. That Eubank Jr. has proven resistance throughout the years, man. Guys, even though it was an old Arthur Abraham, Abraham is very heavy handed, man, at 168. So he has that experience, meaning Eubank Jr. has that experience feeling that type of power. Again, the power from George Groves, from James DeGale, a more fresh Yildirim, right? Avni Yildirim, who Eubank Jr. starched out first more than anybody. Okay, so I don't know. Just to me, I just think for me, as far as like pure torque power, guys, torque, man. That means moving the waist and using your back power. That torque from Eubank Jr. is a lot more dangerous than Connor Benn. Okay, Connor Benn, and look at this, man. To Eubank Jr.'s credit, he's very dangerous in the phone booth distance, man. Eubank Jr. has proven torque, especially in his uppercuts. All right, in the inside. All right, that's one key element from Eubank Jr. And hopefully I'll put a little clip on here. I can attach it here. When he fought, when Connor Benn fought Dobson, Dobson was able to get like some sneaky uppercuts in there. And for me, from what we know, from what we've seen with Eubank Jr. is a lot more well schooled in angles, guys. Eubank Jr. knows his angles a lot better than Orozco or Dobson when fighting in a phone booth fight in the inside. And why is it important? Because guys, there's a lot of animosity in this fight. When they go toe to toe in that phone booth, I'm gonna lean to Eubank Jr. having the advantage because of the angles on the inside. Eubank Jr. has more experience. He's more fluid on the inside. We didn't see that with Dobson. Dobson was a bit more timid, right? But it's normal, man. This is a 154. Dobson again, Orozco. Eubank Jr. just has the upper hand. Now, how is and again, Eubank Jr. at 160 is the fights we've been seeing, not these 154 fights, all right? So again, Connor Benn was able to clip Orozco and Dobson at 154, and they were able to take that power, right? And I believe in this fight, there's a lot of strict drug testing going on, man. So please take that in consideration. Eubank Jr. I think he's gonna use a lot of his feet. He's gonna pepper Connor Benn in the early rounds. Feel it out. Feel what or perhaps maybe even get Connor Benn to commit on a lot of power punches, so that way he can take Connor Benn to the later rounds, to the second half, and most likely he's gonna tire out guys, man. Again, the animosity is a big factor in this. The more anger, the more aggression. What we know from Connor Benn, if he does dish out a lot of power punches, he's gonna tire out guys. Now, to Connor Benn's credit, he's got the youth on his side, right? But again, guys, man, Eubank Jr. has a lot of pros in this fight, in that he's taking punches from harder punchers. Sorry, all right. And again, Eubank Jr. with his KO streak with Liam Smith, right? He got his get back in that rematch. He stopped Liam Smith, a 160 fight. He got his get back again with Camille Zerameta. Eubank Jr. looked very good in that fight. Again, guys, overall, Liam Smith and Zerameta, they're way bigger guys than Connor Benn. Okay? So I think in the grand scheme of things, Eubank Jr. knows that. Literally, when he's mentioning weight, I don't think Eubank Jr. is specifically talking about the weight stipulation in the clause. I think when he's talking about weight, he's talking about the whole scenario of weight. Meaning, when they go clash, is Connor Benn gonna be ready for Eubank Jr.'s pressure? That weight, that physical weight, because they're gonna clinch, guys. On the inside, they're gonna feel that weight. All right. Eubank Jr., man, he has a very good pedigree of pressuring guys in a phone booth fight, man. That's Eubank Jr.'s bread and butter, man, is to get you to fight on the inside. Eubank Jr. he's not new to that. Is Connor Benn gonna be comfortable with that? Eubank Jr., if he wants an adult fight, he can use his legs and evade in this fight. Pepper him, man, with that jab. Boom, boom, stick and move. You know, get Conor Benn angry, get Conor Benn to commit on pressure fighting to follow him. Have Conor Benn miss. Conor Benn did get some nice shots in with Dobson and Orozco, but he also took some shots and he gave those shots, but those guys took those shots, right? So I don't know. It's just, to me, as they say, the bigger, better guy is gonna beat the smaller, better guy. If I'm saying, pronouncing that correctly, if I'm saying it correctly, right? And guys, also, what gives these guys a bonus in their head mentally is that there's already a rematch signed up for November. So one of these guys, or maybe both, they might coast in this fight, knowing that they don't need to really commit and take risky onslaughts because there's a rematch involved. That can be a good thing and that could be a bad thing, because if one guy coasts, the other guy might take advantage of that energy, right? So it all depends. Look at, if Eubank Jr. feels very comfortable with the rehydration clause, right? That 10-pound gap the morning of the fight. If Eubank feels comfortable, it feels good, I honestly believe it's gonna be a bad night for Conor Benn. Now, to Conor Benn's credit, those two fights with Dobson and Orozco may have been to his benefit, that he went the full distance with those guys. He felt that 154. Maybe that might give him a boost of confidence to do things a bit different with Chris. All right. If I were Conor Benn, I would fight on the outside, because there were moments where Conor Benn, he actually did some nice evasive footwork when he was fighting Orozco at the long range, because Orozco had reach. So there were moments that I was impressed with Conor Benn. But again, guys, that's at 154. Who knows how much Eubank is going to blow up in this fight, man. He's bigger than Dobson and Orozco. Okay? So it's going to be interesting. There's a rematch, sometimes even as a fan, right? Or, and how we want to view it as far as strategy, you don't want to know those things head on, because now I'm thinking like, we might use it as an excuse, uh, that there's a rematch. So one of these guys might coast it out. Guys, they're gonna get paid, man. They're getting paid really well in this fight. Okay, if they cause controversy, not that they would, not like Lamont Roach and Tank Davis. it ain't a thing like that. But just if this fight goes the distance, it's gonna be a bigger fight in the rematch. All right, who knows? I even mentioned it. It could be a draw. A draw in the sense that I didn't know that it was the full 160. That was a week ago. But even a draw would cause controversy in this fight. So I'm picking Eubank Jr. by ninth round stoppage. I think Conor Benn is not going to want to give up. Really, what it's going to be, I think Conor Benn's corner, they're going to throw in the towel. They don't want Conor Benn to take too much damage and be tip top for the next rematch that'll happen in November. Think of it like that. Okay? Eubank Jr., if he really wants to win this fight by brutal power punches, he's gonna want Conor Benn to commit in a phone booth fight, and that's where Conor Benn's got to be careful taking those uppercuts, man. Because Eubank Jr., his technique has improved over the years. He looked really good against Zarameta. You guys need to check out the Zarameta fight. Okay, so if he wins it, I mean, look at it. If he stops Conor Benn in that manner where Conor Benn takes too much damage, even the rematch might be postponed even further. Who knows? Depends on the recovery from Conor. Okay, the real upset is if Conor Benn stops Eubank Jr., but Eubank Jr. has to make a lot of, oh, he has to make some significant errors in this bout. Again, I think Liam Smith cracks harder than Conor Benn. It's a different type of technique. You know, Liam Smith is more of a forceful puncher going forward, more in a linear onslaught, linear, right? Whereas Conor Benn has to wing his shots, you know, left and right. Winging shots left and right is also kind of like a con thing, a negative thing for Eubank, because when you telegraph those shots, it's a bit easier to play defense on those shots. Whereas a guy with Liam Smith, he throws his overhands and crosses more center, linear going forward. So those shots, it's different. It's different type of angle evasiveness. And again, that's why I think about it. Going linear, dead center at the corner, right? Because that's where he was able to pin Eubank Jr. was at the corner, and again, it's hard to evade that 90 degrees when somebody's going inward. Because hey, man, it's Eubank Jr.'s fault. He wanted to stay there. He wanted to stay on the corner, and he didn't know how to get out of that situation. Maybe that's where Conor Benn. If Conor Benn can get Eubank Jr. on the corner, that might be an advantage to or a benefit for Conor Benn. But I think Eubank Jr. is smart enough to not be in a situation like that again. Okay, and again, Liam Smith, in my opinion, he cracks harder than Conor Benn. Different technique in punching. But again, Liam Smith's a big dude. He's big, man. Believe it or not, he's big. At least nowadays, he's bigger than what he was before. And of course, he's fighting at 160, right? He was fighting at 160, sorry. So the Liam Smith at 160, and again, guys, even Eubank, when he fought Liam Williams at 160, Liam Williams also, he comes to fight. Liam Williams, Liam Smith. I wouldn't say so much Zerameta, but those two pressure style fighters is in that experience is really on Eubank Jr.'s favor in this fight, guys. The only thing you should be doubtful is not so much the technique and skills, because skills wise, torque, all aroundness, it's you lean towards Eubank Jr., man. He's more of an overall all around fighter than Conor Benn. Trust me. But again, that stipulation with the weight class, is it really gonna affect Eubank Jr.? I don't think so, to be honest, because Eubank Jr., in my opinion, he's always been a thin fighter, even on fight night. He doesn't really blow up too much. With as far as athleticism and just being an all around athlete, that type of physique benefits a Eubank Jr., but he's not coming up overblown in the fight. So what am I getting at? I guess I'm not going to use that as an excuse that the rehydration clause is a big effect on Eubank Jr. So that's it, guys. I've got Eubank Jr. round 9 stoppage in a really, really good fight. If he can get Conor Benn to commit on a lot of power punches, guys, Conor's gonna tire out. All right, Eubank Jr.'s been there. So I'm excited for the weigh-in. Let's see how these guys look. For right now, my early prediction: Eubank Jr. for 9th round stoppage. They're gonna throw in the towel. So I'll catch you guys on the next one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, which means to the body. Catch you on the next one.